right? Because the first thing that we have to do is take my b term, which is 5, half it, 2.5 or 5 or 5 halves, right?
Yeah.
And then square it,
Which is
25.
so you're going to get,
6
which is 25 fourths. All right, so let's work that out just so we can see it. So I take my b term, I half it, and then I square it. That's going to be 25 fourths. Or for us, that's 6 1/4. Right? All right, so I have x squared plus 5x, and then I want this to be 6 1/4. Yeah. No, I want it to be positives, but how did I get from -2 to 6 1/4 then? I added 8.25.
So you want it to be a power.
Yeah, always positive. When you square it, it'll take the sign off it and make it positive. All right, now I am going to change this back. I agree. I don't do these this way.
I like
All right, so let's look back at some of these other problems in order to figure out what's going to go here and here. All right, first of all, well, what's my sign's going to be? Plus, plus. I know that for sure. Okay, so let's look back at some of these other examples. Let's look back at the one when we thought that completing the square was like the coolest. Okay, so why did how did I pick 5? How is that related to your b? It's half of it. Well, let's make sure that that works. Are these ones half of my b?
Yeah.
Yep. So what's going to end up going here and here is going to be what's half of that? 2.5.
Let's go.
You said half of.
It's half of the b, right? You with me? Okay. And then I still have this 8.25 on here. So how do I rewrite this?
Oh, x squared plus 5. Square
Root both sides. What will I have on the left side?
x plus 2.5. Some stupid number up north.
All right, what is the square root of 8.25?
Square root of 8. 2.87281323.
Well, that's unfortunate. Okay. Now's the time that maybe we should switch this back. This is really 8 1/4. And if I wrote that as an improper fraction, what would it be?
33 over 4.
33 over 4. So if I take the square root of that, that's the same thing as taking the square root of 8 1/4, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Because these are equal. This is just the fraction version of the decimal here, right? And whenever I take the square root of a fraction, it's really the square root of the top over the square root of the bottom. The good news is the bottom is really 2. Square root of 33 halves. Okay, so I get the square root of 33 halves, plus or minus. Now what? Subtract 2.5, which for us is really subtracting, if I changed it into fraction again, minus 5 over 4. That's my answer.
What?
Brain.
Okay, completing the square. Pretty awesome still. You went from here to here to here.
2 plus or minus.
You can use Spencer.
Okay.
Just like throw that in the toilet. Just do that.
All right. Now my last example here.
Oh, great.
All right, now look, I kind of combined some things together here. Now I've got a leading coefficient that's 3. We had that before. All right, what do we do to fix it? Yeah, we pull the 3 out of everything, right? All right, so we will start this one. There's no way we're fixing this one. All right, but if I pull out a 3, all right, what will I be left with here?
X squared.
That's not so bad. Now when I pull 3 out of here,
It sucks a lot.
I'm going to get a 10 over 3x. Because if I were to multiply this back, right, the 3's will cancel and I'll get 10x. Okay? And then if I pull a 3 out of 6, 2. All right, so my next step would be to decide what my new C term is going to be.
Which double.
All right, so we have this.
Half of it, which is 5, which is
No.
by 2.
It'll be 10. So multiply it by 1/2. So it'll actually be 10/6, and then we square it, so that's 100 over 36. You see where this is going?
No.
Why do this?
Yay! Boy, dude.
Okay, so what makes this one hard?
It's not divisible by 3.
Right, because everything wasn't divisible by 3. So basically, the main thing that screwed this thing up was that my leading coefficient wasn't 1. Man, I wish for these days again, right, when I had a nice even thing here and I had a leading coefficient of 1, right? There are better ways to do this.
I'll just rewrite the whole equation.
All right, so if you have something in your homework tonight that does that, you're not going to end up doing it.
Yes.
Okay? I think. Let's see if I can find this. Here it is. All right, what made this one harder? The leading coefficient was 1. Why did I get a decimal? Right, because my B term, what's wrong with it? It's odd. There are better ways to do this one. All right, so this is what we got. When is completing the square a good option?
Even
Okay, so when my B, that's not it. There it is. When the B term is even, when the leading coefficient is positive, I didn't even give you one like that with the negative A term. Okay, when else?
leading coefficient.
When the leading coefficient is 1. If it doesn't meet these 3 categories, you're going to do this. Right, so otherwise, there's more efficient methods to solving these than completing the square, like tomorrow, or what we'll do next week. So see you guys.
And so if we get a problem at homework not to do it,
If you get a problem in your homework that does not meet these 3 qualifications, you're going to put wait till next week. Right?
do it next week. Yes.
Well, you'll be able to solve them next week. So here's what I want you to do in your homework. You are going to do. Oh, they're all gone.
They don't not be in Jeopardy like that.
No. Unfortunately, I'm not hot.
Yeah.
I don't think you want to see me in a dress like she's wearing.
Yeah.
All sequiny and
That'd be funny. Actually, I think. For Spirit Week next. Yeah, Spirit Week.
I don't think Stowe's ready for me to cross dress.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Tinkerbell next year.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll do Tinkerbell. You Tinkerbell. Morris.
Well, you quite alright.
Maybe I'll be a mermaid.
There you go. Yeah. I'll be a mermaid too. Coconut. What? Tie the shoulder on.
Okay, we got this?
Yeah.
All right. So your homework tonight. Oh, this is going to be the one? Okay. You're going to do page 287, 47 through 71 odd. Right? You're going to analyze them all and solve them if they fit that criteria. Right? But if they can't, so if the problem can't be done by completing the square, and you can't easily change it into something that can, you're just going to put wait till tomorrow. All right? And what I mean by saying you can't change it into something that can be changed into something easily, like if it's 3x squared plus 12x plus 9 equals 0. Now, a 3 comes out of all of those, right? All right, so if I pull a 3 out, I'm going to get x squared plus 6x plus 3 equals 0. All right, so if I'm just looking at this, is my leading coefficient 1?
Yes. Yes.
Is my leading coefficient positive?
Yes.
Yes. Is my b term even?
Yes.
We can do this one. All right, and I easily changed it into one that I could because I divided everything by 3 and then checked the criteria.
4, not 6.
If I pull a 3 out of there, yes. I'm sorry.
Ooh.
Does it still fit the criteria?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right, I thought I picked a good one. All right. that make sense to you guys?
Yeah.
Right, so if you can easily change it and still have it go through the process, go ahead and do it. When completing the square is an option, it's great, it's fast, it's pretty easy. When it doesn't meet the criteria, it's the worst choice ever. Right, now there are 3 ways to solve these things. We have factoring, which you guys get pretty good at. There's completing the square, which rarely works. And then there's the next method that we'll learn.
Group experience.
Okay?
Is this online?
It's real.